I'll just join back in.
Okay, cool.
I was like, I heard that like an Animal Crossing character. All right, we are streaming, by the way.
All right. Well, we're live. Wait, someone's audio is like TV audio or something is.
This is
Oh wait, I haven't
me.
even I haven't even started recording on Zoom yet, so whatever. I'm.
Everybody, welcome in.
Recording in progress.
Everybody, welcome in. Thank you for enduring the technical difficulties.
All right. I think we're recording on Zoom. We're live on YouTube. So welcome everyone to a live edition of Mavs Film Room Podcast. That's kind of every edition these days. We're coming to you on October 29th, 10:34 p.m. Central Time. The Mavericks just defeated the Indiana Pacers 107 to 105 in a bit of a thriller that came down to the very last shot, but the Mavericks, like they have been unable to do in recent history, beat the Indiana Pacers tonight. Uh, Unfortunately, the big story from tonight was Anthony Davis left the game in the first quarter with a lower left leg injury and did not return for the remainder of the night. He came into tonight with Achilles soreness in both legs, I believe. And so, unfortunately, got hurt in the fifth game of the season, did not return. So we'll await more news on what that injury was. But a few young guys for the Mavericks stepped up tonight. Brandon Williams was their leading scorer. He had 20 points in 22 minutes. That went along with 7 rebounds. He was absolutely huge for the Mavericks tonight. Dwight Powell chipped in with 18 points of his own, filling in for a depleted Mavericks center rotation. Crazy that there was all this talk about, how big the Mavericks were and how many, star centers that they have. And where did that lead us? Back to Dwight Powell. And Cooper Flag had a bit of an up and down game, but I thought he took control in the second half. He finished with a double-double of 15 points and 10 rebounds in 35 minutes tonight. And so, look, the Mavericks improved to 2-3. We'll see what happens here with Anthony Davis's injury, but a step in the right direction nonetheless for them.
Yeah, I'm glad Ray J. Dennis didn't cook us at the end, or Aaron Neesmith.
Aaron Neesmith had a chance to win this game at the buzzer. They executed that intentional miss off the free throw perfectly, but thankfully for the Mavericks, or not thankfully, depending on what outcome you're rooting for here, the shot did not fall, and the Mavericks escaped by the skin of their teeth because it appeared like we were heading for another one of those improbable Pacers comebacks against the Mavericks, but it did not happen tonight.
I think my biggest takeaways from the game are obviously the AD injury. We hope he's not out too long because the team sorely needs any sort of offensive shot making, and he can provide that in his own Anthony Davis ways. And the second biggest takeaway is, I guess, what a horrible basketball game from beginning to end. Like, I think I just watched 2 lottery teams play for 48 minutes, and it's hard to have that many positive takeaways, I guess, from the Mavericks so far. Like, Max Christie's one of them. Brandon Williams tonight's one of them. The flashes that we've seen from Cooper Flag is another one, but like their 2 wins are against the Raptors and this MASH unit of the Pacers, so it's like it's hard to really gauge how good this team is or like who they're better than and anything like that. Next game's against the Pistons, who I think the Mavericks are worse than, so I guess we'll see how they gauge against them, but it's just really hard to I don't know, hard to drum up excitement with this Mavericks team, which is crazy because they have a guy like Cooper Flag on the team.
Shame on you, Vinay. We're only 5 games in, and you're mentioning the lottery along with the illustrious Dallas Mavericks, who are clearly a championship contender because they just beat the Indiana Pacers, who were in the finals last year. Nobody gives this team any credit, guys.
That's a good
They
bit.
just got reigning slam dunk champion Mac McClung on their team, so they're for real, man.
I literally texted y'all when we were down 10 that we're not going to lose this game. Mac McClung's literally in the game, and goes
I
to
mean,
show.
Mac McClung made the most of his minutes tonight. He had that 4-point play in the second quarter, and I think that was kind of rock bottom for the Mavericks. Luckily, they were able to come back from that. And Cooper Flag eventually hit him with the 2 small later on in the game. But Yeah, I agree with you, Vinay. Like, I don't know how much there is to take away from this game, other than the Mavericks are a lot worse than a lot of people thought that they would be. I don't think that we had high expectations for them, but for the people who thought that they were a solid playoff team or even a contender, these first four or first five games now have been a very humbling experience for that, because there has been nothing that this team has done in the first five games that have shown that they could contend for anything meaningful this season. Tonight, it was nice to see some of the young guys get going. I mean, Brandon Williams, Max Christie, Cooper Flag, but it's shown you that building an offense around playmaking is a much better recipe for winning than just building it around guys who are tall and like making the biggest lineup possible. That works, but it works if you got the skill in the playmaking, and the lineup with Cooper Flag at the one, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively did not have the playmaking chops that you need to be a contending team in the NBA.
To be fair, it didn't have the shooting chops either. I mean, Klay Thompson 1 of 6, Max Christie 1 of 4, D'Angelo Russell 1 of 5, all from 3. And those are your biggest volume shooters tonight. Like it's truly a testament to how shorthanded the Pacers are, and how many non-rotation guys they had out there, that the Mavericks still were up for that last 6 minutes.
They made 5 threes today and one, which is just insane. Yeah, I mean, Max Christie had like an off shooting night compared to what he's done the rest of the other games. PJ had an off night compared to what he's done the rest of the other games, but I don't know, man. The team, and I guess in a positive light, like the team looks so much better with any semblance of an NBA point guard out there, whether it's D'Lo, whether it's Brandon Williams. So like, I hopefully like Jason Kidd kind of realizes it, and maybe I don't know what his priorities are for this season. I don't know if it's his priority is to see how many point guard reps Cooper Flag can get, or if he wants the team to be as good as possible. But if it's the latter, I would just like stagger those point guards, make sure one of them's always on the court if you're trying to win games. And I mean, the offense just looks so much better with one of them on the court. They're playmaking for others, they're getting to the rim, especially in the case of Brandon Williams. So yeah.
I'll say this though, they didn't shoot a ton of threes tonight. I mean, you look at the stat line. I mean, obviously they made 5, but they only attempted 24 threes against the Raptors on Sunday night when Rohan and I, streamed. I think that they attempted 26 threes in that game. And so the thing, what the Mavericks did tonight though, is they got downhill, they got to the basket, they played in transition, they drew fouls, and like you said, Vinay, that would have been possible if they didn't play this guard forward lineup, if you will. Like Brandon Williams played 22 minutes. Look at D'Angelo Russell, who played 20 minutes himself. Max Christie played 33 minutes. Like these are all guys who can play, make, and handle the ball. So yes, they didn't make a ton of threes tonight, but I think they did what you would do as an alternate, and they actually got to the rim, scored in the paint, drew fouls, played in transition. And we said this in the preseason, like that would be the way that they'd be an efficient offense if they weren't going to shoot a ton of threes.
Yeah, the issue, building off of what Vinay said about D'Lo basically just having a starting caliber or an actual NBA point guard. The issue was he's been very, very good at not turning the ball over, but tonight he had 4. Don't quite remember the nature of all of them, but that is concerning just because they depend so heavily on him. But Brandon Williams was very, very good tonight in the minutes that he got. Naturally, he's not going against like playoff rotation guys, but it is heartening.
Barely NBA guys.
I mean, yeah, even the Pacers' second best player, Andrew Nembhard, was out tonight. Well, I guess Pascal Siakam is probably their second best player. I take that back. But Pascal Siakam had an off night. Andrew Nembhard didn't play. Aaron Nesmith also didn't have a great game, and so it was Ray J. Dennis who was really bearing the brunt of the scoring load for the Pacers tonight. Never heard of him in my life.
Siakam did get it going late in the fourth after a couple of uncontested threes were just basically handed to him by the Mavericks defense, which by the way was better tonight. Like the rotations were markedly better, like from PJ and these guys. But the 3-point defense on a guy like Siakam, who is definitely capable of shooting and you can't leave open, is pretty disgusting for a team that should have a defensive identity.
I really wanted him on draft night, but I have to say, Jarris Walker made a tremendous contribution to the Dallas Mavericks tonight, every which way.
I mean, he had a couple good moments in this game shooting wise, but I agree with you. I think he contributed a lot to the sloppiness of the Pacers, and he's kind of been in Rick Carlisle's doghouse ever since he's been drafted. I think this season he's played more out of necessity, but yeah, let's talk a little bit more about this offense for the Mavericks without Anthony Davis, because we go back to this point about how they're just able to play with more fluidity now that they weren't able to with AD in the lineup, and I think that's just because with AD you're kind of throwing the ball to him in the post. He's going to face up. He's going to back down his defender. Sometimes he's going to fade away for those bad mid-range shots. There wasn't a ton of pick and roll offense with him on the floor, and I think that was kind of a reason why the offense was stuck in the mud. But what do you guys think is one of the biggest differences in the offense with AD in and out of the lineup? Was today's offense more because AD was out, or was it because they just played more guards? I mean, obviously because AD got injured, but they could have done that with AD in the lineup too.
No, I definitely think the pace and how they played on offense, particularly, wouldn't have been the same if Anthony Davis was in the lineup. But I mean, even though the flow looks better and they like playing faster and all that, it's still like, even in his form right now, I still find it hard to believe that the Mavericks offense overall is better with Anthony Davis off the floor than it is on the floor, especially if he's the sole big. But I mean, they can definitely do some different things with him not on the floor. But I think the team, if they're trying to win games, they need Anthony Davis back as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he is their best player right now. I think they need him back, but they also need him in better shape, because we've seen 5 games now and how his lack of conditioning has slowed him down. And obviously we've talked about it at this point. Like, some of that is not his fault with the retina injury, that there's only so much you can do with that. But the Mavericks need AD playing at a high level in order to be able to win. And now with this injury, like, we're not sure what it was. I mean, we know he came into this game with both Achilles sore. Hopefully tonight's injury was nothing significant, but what would it mean for the Mavericks season if Anthony Davis were to miss significant time or miss extended time? Because I think that would just kind of throw a wrench in this entire thing for the Mavericks, because it really all hinged on him being available and playing at an all NBA level.
I think I don't want to say myth, but I think the fairy tale that we're selling ourselves on, that AD can be healthy for 50 or 60 games, or that some fans are selling themselves
We can't
on,
get 50 to 60?
that
That doesn't even get you qualification for any of the awards. I just want, like, I just
no,
want, like,
yeah, but what is the last season that
55.
AD, what's the last season that AD played 50 plus games in a season? Can
2
someone
years
look that
ago.
up?
'Cause
I think
it was 2 years
22,
ago.
23.
22, 23. Okay. Well, he's still in his prime then. He's like, what, 28? Now he's 32. He had a detached retina, which happens. Like, it's not like a...
What do you mean that just happens?
It's a thing that does happen to like a lot of people, right? But he had the groin injury last year. In the last 6 months, there are 3 major injuries for this guy. Do you really think he's going to play 60 games? And this isn't to us. This is to guys like Charles Barkley, who, the game that he did have of ours, I forget which one that was. He said, if AD can play 60 games, he can carry this team to a championship. Like, the pipe dream for people who believe in this team's ability to contend is that AD can be healthy for, let's say, half the season, right? Let's be a little more realistic. Just like a little smidge. 40 games, and then Kai comes back for the last 20 games, and your winning pace just skyrockets then. So you stay 500 until like February, and then you just start winning out because Kyrie is throwing in 10 points and 5 assists or whatever, or not 20 points and 5 assists. And you're able to score easier. that is the ideal way that this could go in the minds of optimists. Just to throw cold water on it, like Anthony Davis is going to be very lucky to be available to be eligible for awards this season.
That's not.
A-
I mean,
a-
I'm not even asking for that. I just want 50 to 60.
yeah, I mean, I just don't think that we're gonna get it. Like his nickname is Street
Yeah, we
Clothes
might
for a
not.
reason, right? Um, it's just this team has literally no way of being competitive, let alone winning in the playoffs if Anthony Davis is not able to stay healthy. And it's honestly not even his fault. This team is not doing a great job of safeguarding the health of their players, and they haven't obviously over the course of the last year. But just I think that this is in my mind, the death knell for the win now Mavericks. You know, we talked about in the offseason after they won the lottery how there's two timelines, right? And my contention was, as much as I would like this team to be competitive, and I can see how you can be competitive, you're not competitive in a West with Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards, and Victor Wembanyama for the next 5 years with a currently 32-year-old Anthony Davis who is just injury prone as hell, and Kyrie Irving coming off of an ACL tear at age 34. Like, I'm sorry, you're not competitive over the next 3 years. Like, you're not winning it. You would have to a miracle larger than Cooper Flag falling to the Mavericks in the lottery would have to happen for this team to seriously be a championship contender in this gauntlet of a Western Conference. So, yeah, anyone who's kind of faulting us for talking about the lottery and how the Mavs team, the Mavs franchise should maximize one of their two first round picks that they have over the next fucking 6 years is a moron. Like, I'm telling, like people who have Twitter accounts and followings, it does not make them smart. Okay, like you're paying $100 million a year in 2 years for a 34-year-old Anthony Davis and a 36-year-old Kyrie Irving. That's fucking insane. That is malpractice. I mean, I like both of those guys as basketball players, but that's not who you build a team around, right?
The more you think about it, the less it makes sense. And we've said this literally since the trade happened. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you look at tonight, right? And obviously, the Mavericks were playing barely an NBA team tonight. Let's caveat it with that. Like, Brandon Williams may not look this good every night, but I think he can play. But he was the Mavericks' leading scorer for tonight. I don't know how many more times we're going to be able to say that. But you look at three of their leading scorers tonight: Brandon Williams, Dwight Powell, D'Angelo Russell, Cooper Flag, and Max Christie. Three of those guys are 25 and under. I mean, Brandon Williams, 25. Who else did I mention? Max Christie, sorry, 22 years old. Cooper Flag is obviously 18. Like, tonight showed you that letting the youth shine might be the best course of action for the Mavs. Yes, they may not achieve these championship expectations that they had, but let's be real, were they achieving those with Anthony Davis either? I'm not sure. Because without a true point guard on this roster, there is a very clear ceiling as to what they can reach. And Kyrie Irving is going to come back in January or in February, but it might be too late at that point. So, you might as well try and figure out what fits around Cooper Flag. That's just my 2 cents. That always has been my preference for this team. Obviously, that's not the way that they chose to go.
Hey man, but Nico was saying in summer league though, Kyrie's ahead of schedule. He might be back by December.
I, I, I don't know what Nico was saying there. I don't think that that's possible. I mean, you cannot play with the career of a guy who's about to turn 34 years old coming off an ACL. I know that ACLs these days are not the death sentence that they used to be with modern sports medicine and everything, but it's still nothing to play with. And I don't think that he's going to be back until at least January. And so, again,
Also,
I like what we saw tonight. It was
Moder-
fun. It was actually fun to watch.
fair enough, especially the young guys in Brandon Williams. But modern sports medicine is a key word here. I'm not sure whether Nico Harrison is capable of running an organization where modern sports medicine is actually practiced.
Yeah, I mean, the training staff got changed after the debacle of last season, but we still don't know have they been replaced with guys who and ladies who actually know what they're doing, or if it's just going to be more of the same because the Mavs are pretty injury riddled and we've only just gotten past game 5. Some of this is because I think, objectively we do employ injury prone players, but some of this, I mean, who knows, could just be due to improper prep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think I, it was just funny that AD came into this game with a bilateral something. Again, I don't know exactly what the term of that injury was, but you know what? I'm just going to look it up right now because let's see. Bilateral Achilles tendinopathy. That is the injury designation that he came into this game with. He was listed as available. He left with left leg soreness, left lower leg soreness. So, I mean, that kind of indicates that it might be related to the Achilles. Maybe it won't be, but I don't know. That seems awfully like how the Mavericks handled injuries last season, pushing guys to play, pushing for more optimistic injury timelines as opposed to playing it cautious. Uh, so I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. But tonight was not a good look, I think, in that department. Damn, no one has anything to say to that?
It's just a bleak situation. Like, I don't want to harp on like the past versus the present too much, but like going back even like a year to Mavs basketball, or like 2 years, like there was just like the fan base was like united, and now it's very divided because of all of these moves, right? There are people that want to be optimistic, and there are people that are being realists, and then there are people that are being pessimists for whatever reason, and people that have left the fan base altogether. But the bigger thing is also in terms of an organization, you hired people like Casey Smith, who kind of made the job easy on you, like make you look like an intelligent executive. But and not to harp on the GM of the Mavericks too much, but he does have a lot. He has a hand in every single thing that is happening for this organization. So I don't know, the way he's handled running this organization has more to do with his ego than anything else. And from reporting from, I believe, Mark Stein, the thinking around the organization is that the ownership is also not making a decision on Nico Harrison because of their ego and pride. So altogether, I feel like we are a poverty organization that is just like given this much talent, and we have to watch it waste away while this team thinks that they can compete and just end up fighting for play-in territory. One of the only year this decade that they have their own first-round fucking pick. Like, look at these young guys play and genuinely tell me that you wouldn't want to see that second timeline maximized with the least pressure on them.
I'm not gonna lie. I zoned out a bit because I was trying to look at some quotes about Anthony Davis in
Do you
the
want me?
post
Do you want me
game.
to repeat it?
No.
Okay.
No, you can, but I just want to say that I was scrolling Twitter and it looks like Jason Kidd also didn't give a ton of detail about AD's injury. He just said that he tried to return, didn't want to take any chances, so we'll see how he feels going forward. Again, I don't want to say it, but it feels very similar to last year, so we'll see.
All I wanted to repeat is that what I said at the end there. Like, why aren't we more excited as a fan base to see these young guys play with less pressure? Right? Like we're depending on so many veterans, and we're putting so much stock into the talent that they have, and they are very, very talented. But like that doesn't help the expectations for the development of everyone else, right? Like we're looking at Max Christie like he needs to be a Klay Thompson replacement. We're looking at Cooper Flag like he needs to be an LD replacement, or like Gordon Hayward immediately in a roster that he doesn't fit in, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, this trade artificially sped up the timeline, and it's now put more pressure on some of these guys that I think would benefit from playing a little bit more free. And that's what you kind of saw tonight. You saw guys take advantage of their opportunity and really just go for it and play without burden. But on that note, I want to ask you guys a question because it feels a lot of times that Cooper Flag is getting rooked and frozen out of the Mavericks offense. Is it just me or does it look like that to you guys? And how can they work him in to get him more touches without putting all the playmaking burden on him?
So I don't think, okay, to, I guess, compare and contrast, when it happened to Luca in his rookie season, that looked pretty intentional. DeAndre Jordan was a big bastard or whatever the hell. But when I watched the Mavs this year with Cooper, it doesn't look like it's intentional. I think it's kind of a fault about play calling because, like you mentioned, Cooper is either bringing up the ball himself, trying to do point guard shit, or he's handing it off, or he's and then just like going to sit in the corner. And I mean, I don't think that's the best way for him to grow as a player. Um, of course, all NBA level basketball at this point, so early in his career, is going to help, but there can be things that can be done to accelerate that growth. Um, I think kind of again how the Mavs played without AD on the court. Um, to Vinay's point earlier, that of course AD's offensive game should help the Mavs. Yes, I believe that he needs to come back in better shape, but he also needs to fit in, kind of as a piece of the team instead of like, as another cog instead of being the centerpiece that he's been trying to be these first 5 games. Because just, I don't know if it's about his body or what, but he just doesn't have the juice for it at the moment. And he can't like, we can't play like Embiid level type of superstar kind of play with AD out there. He's just got to be, I guess go back to the basics or something. Um, he can be like a supercharged Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford combo. I'm not sure, but point is like the Mavs need to play an actual modern NBA lineup and not this like Frankenstein's monster version of a lineup with the starters. Clay starting does not seem like a great idea because I mean, while he looks washed, obviously we need a real point guard or ball handler out there. Cooper shouldn't be the one again starting at point guard. I don't believe that. So there are some simple tweaks to make. I think that Jason Kidd should hopefully go to them. He'll be forced to if AD is out for any appreciable amount of time because, even when Lively and Gafford come back, they're not going to have the same kind of superstar billing as AD. So they're just going to play, like I said, kind of like another cog. Um, just basically to sum it up, just be normal and hopefully Cooper should be able to pick up on that and, make him feel comfortable. And I know over the summer, Jason Kidd was like, we're all about making this kid feel uncomfortable. Maybe ease up on that a little bit just for now, give him some easy wins and then see where we can go from there.
I think that's a great point. Because we see the flashes from him, but I still think that Cooper is overthinking it at times. And there are times where he wants to be full out aggressive and just like get to the basket or force up a shot, but I think he thinks twice about it and ends up passing it to a veteran Mavericks player. And I just want to see him play free, play without any sort of overthinking, and see what that looks like because I think we've seen flashes of it with the dunks, with him lowering his shoulder in the paint, bullying defenders, getting to the cup for layups. Like that stuff gets the crowd excited, and I think it gets fans excited and really shows you the type of offensive player he's going to be. I think that his jump shot is going to be a work in progress this season. We kind of knew that. So that's obviously going to be something that he works on, but I feel like putting him in kind of that PJ Washington, Najee Marshall role might help him a little bit too, where he's still allowed to play make, but he's not the primary playmaker, and he's able to just sort of work from the wings and get downhill and get to his spot. That could really just give him the confidence. Right now, the problem is he's been playing in this, like you said, Frankenstein's monsters lineup to start the game with AD and Klay Thompson, and it just hasn't looked great. There's been a lot of turnovers to start, which I think has killed a lot of the momentum for the Mavericks in the early part of the game, and that definitely hurts Cooper because he's not able to get in any rhythm as a result of that.
Yeah, the proposition of playing him as a Swiss Army knife, more of a hybrid wing than a point guard, is even saying point forward, just like it kind of typecasts him a little bit too much for his development. I think he's going to be preoccupied with a lot. I think I disagree with most of you guys here in that yes, it's bad on the floor and it's bad for Cooper's production, but I do think kind of trial by fire and having him run point guard for this Frankenstein's monster of a team is actually going to speed up his development a little bit just because you see the game differently when you're playing like that, but it's not leading itself to him producing well in these games, right? It's kind of like throwing him into a meat grinder. So yeah, playing him like Najee I think would be great, but then the issue is like you have a front court glut and then you have a wing glut, right? And you don't have any of your bigs, so you're playing Dwight Powell. Um, like are you I'm tired of these jumbo fucking lineups, dude, where there's like three wings on the floor and now there's just gonna be Dwight Powell and like three wings and Brandon Williams, right? That's not
Well, at least
exciting
the
basketball.
ball moves a little bit better than it did before. That's for sure. But yeah, I think like the problem is this team is built around Anthony Davis, and it's going to look incomplete without him. But at the same time, with him in the lineup, it hasn't looked great either. So they're just kind of stuck in this place where they're going nowhere fast until they really just commit to a direction. But again, we've harped on it for months now, and at this point, like with the season in full swing, I feel like we just kind of have to focus on the smaller picture for now and just what's happening in these games and then worry about the bigger stuff later, I think.
Why is no one worrying about the bigger picture stuff though?
No, we've been worrying about it like literally since February. Like
But
I
like,
feel like that's all we've talked about.
go ahead, Rohan.
What do you mean by bigger picture stuff? I think I know what you mean, but I want you to enumerate it for the listeners.
Jay.
I
I mean, you're the one who asked the question.
no,
Like-
like I said, I think I know what you mean by that, but go ahead and
I
say
guess
it.
like the flag timeline, like having to make
Yeah.
decisions on Anthony Davis and Derek Lively's extensions in the summer, which is like this like resting bomb that is just over the franchise right now. Like they can really fuck up the flag timeline, no exaggeration, if they just extend Anthony Davis, Nico Harrison, and Rich Paul get like a nice little dinner together and they just like do a fat extension that like that will severely impact that timeline. That would just neuter all the benefits you get from having Cooper on a rookie contract. So Anthony Davis and Derek Lively are both due for extensions. It's both the same agent. It's the same agent that has a good relationship with Nico Harrison. If Nico Harrison is here by the time summer rolls around, I feel like both those extensions are getting done and probably not at prices that are going to be beneficial to the Mavericks. I'm for extending Derek Lively, but that's also going to be a contentious negotiation because like Rich Paul on one hand can argue that this was an anchor for a finals run, and Nico Harrison can argue this guy's never available, and I don't know how that's going to go. So
well,
it is pretty crazy we haven't even gotten out of October yet, and Lively, Gafford, and Anthony Davis are all out. Like, what are like the actual odds of that?
yeah.
Probably pretty high.
It's funny that you can make the argument for both guys if you're Nico Harrison that they're both injury prone and you don't know how long you're going to have them in a season. And like the contract that Anthony Davis will be asking for will at some point pay him $70 million a year if you max it. Right? So like I'm
Like,
just
that's
asking
that's
fans an
that's the
honest
thing.
question. Even if you're like way higher on AD and you think that this team somehow is still a championship contender, which you're smoking crack, in my opinion. But like, if you believe that, do you think 34-year-old Anthony Davis is worth paying $70 million in a year? Like, I can't even justify it in my mind. And to think about this timeline thing, the Cooper timeline is mortgaged because of the fact that they only have those two picks, right? 2026 and 2031. It just doesn't look like management wants to make the decision on Nico, which punts the ball on any further decisions down the court, right? Like, I hate harping on it again and again, but the easy decision would have been trade Anthony Davis as soon as you could when he was at the healthiest that he was, for some amount of draft capital and like a versatile guard. Um, Now that's easier said than done, but it doesn't even look like the Mavericks tried to do that, right?
And
No,
here's the thing with it, right? Like Anthony Davis was part of the plan before Cooper Flag was. Like Cooper Flag, getting him was an accident, and so the plan was to build around AD and Kyrie, and that's why, like, if you really want to move on, you're also gonna have to move on in terms of the front office too. Like, there's no way that Nico Harrison can rebuild this team because he put all his eggs into the Anthony Davis basket. Moving on from him is not an option for Nico Harrison. And I think the only way to do that is to move on from Nico. That's the only way you can trade AD. Because otherwise, like you said, Vinay, you're in this position where you have a GM that's very friendly with Clutch Sports. You have two players that are due for extension. Like, that's just not going to be a negotiation that goes well for the Mavericks. Because, we know that Nico Harrison is not going to do that because he has to keep AD. And as a result, he's going to have to give him whatever he wants and whatever that comes with the Lively extension as well. So I agree with you. That's an under talked about story that's fast approaching.
I would describe it as a Russian nesting doll of cowardice. Patrick Dumont does not want to fire Nico Harrison because he's the one that signed off on the Luka Doncic trade, and that would be admitting that he made a mistake.
well, you made a mistake.
No,
it's
we
just
all
sunk
we all
cost.
agree with that. Nico Harrison still sees a vision of this roster, despite the fact that every single time he's had a vision of what this team could be, it spontaneously combusts in front of all of our eyes, right?
I feel like even
and he's waiting on this roster to win, to succeed, and unfortunately, even if that happens, it's going to be too late. And I think we all agree that the window is basically closed. But because management is punting the ball down the road, of course, there's not going to be a real rebuild happening. Like, you're currently the architect of this team is the architect of the first timeline, which is not going to win you it's not going to win you a ring. It just isn't. Not in this conference. So it's on management to fire him and then put somebody in charge who can actually rebuild the team, and actually knows what Sam Presti did well in OKC, or whoever the GM of the Nuggets was, building around Jokic. Like, these are not things that Nico Harrison can answer to you. He does not have a real vision of how teams win in the NBA, and he for some reason thinks that Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving can compete with Shea's OKC Thunder, with Luka's Los Angeles Lakers, which he created, by the way, and Wemby's Spurs. Okay, and there's still the Nuggets. Okay,
Jokic's
there's still
Nuggets,
the
yeah.
Rockets. Right? Like, there's five. I just named you five
Dorian
teams
Finney-Smith's
that this
Rockets.
this year they're better. Who knows who's going to be way better than us next year? And all of our guys in the first timeline are older. It doesn't take a genius to say, hey, we need a new vision because this vision is based on someone smoking a crack pipe.
You just don't see
That's-
it, bro. You don't see the vision.
What vision? Okay, no,
You're
seriously.
not smoking enough crack. You gotta smoke more to see the vision. Maybe Brandon Williams was possessing that marijuana so he could see the vision.
Shit.
Oh, brother.
I knew that was going to get mentioned. Hey, I believe that was his manager's fault. Okay.
Going back to AD just for this season, though, it's like what's frustrating is like the team looked that poor on offense, and really they haven't looked that good on defense. I mean, a little bit better, but I mean, I'm not really that impressed on defense either. But the points in the paint they've given up, but like they've looked that bad with Anthony Davis on the court. What's it going to look like when he inevitably misses these 20 to 30 games? And some of those games are going to happen without Kyrie. Probably most of those games are going to happen without Kyrie on the court. Like, I don't even know. Like, I think the team will be, there will be some fun parts about the team, but like treading water in the West, like they're going to drown. They're just going to drown at some point. Like, you can't have like 4 bad weeks in the West, otherwise your season's over. Like they got to get it together now. Like I honestly thought, looking at the schedule before the season, I thought they were going to come off to like a good like I don't know 4-1, 3-2 start, and they just like no, like Wemby just decided no, like on that in the first half of that game. Um, like you guys said, the best time to trade Anthony Davis was when they won the lottery. The second best time to trade Anthony Davis would have been before he got hurt, and the third best time to trade Anthony Davis would be before the deadline. I don't know if they're going to trade him before Kyrie comes back, though. I don't think they'll just like stubbornly like not want to do it. And yeah, I don't know. Like it sucks to bring up, it sucks to talk about him like this, but it's just like hovering over the franchise like a dark cloud over the Cooper Flag timeline, which you can have like uh, what's the word I'm looking for? A promising Cooper Flag timeline if you do the right stuff with this current roster. You can have guys like Max Christie, PJ Washington, Derek Lively for that second timeline. In my dream of dreams, a top 5 pick this year, and for that to add to that Flag timeline, but they're just like trying to thread two different timelines at the same time, and it's just like it's not going to go well.
This is not the front office to do it. Like, here's the thing. What is the Mavericks' identity? We all thought it was going to be defense. Through 5 games, I don't think that it's defense, and it's certainly not any sort of offensive identity. And like, I just have this image burned in my brain right now of Anthony Davis catching it at the block. You have his defender, you have a guy at the nail, and then you have a guy at the other block, all collapsing into the paint. Like, what good is that doing for Cooper Flag? The driving lanes are non-existent with AD on the floor and the lineup that they play. How is that helping Cooper Flag develop offensively? Because we all agree that that's the biggest area that Cooper Flag needs to develop in. And it's just like you said, Vinay, it's a dark cloud hanging over the franchise's head. Because, yeah, Anthony Davis had 4 straight games of 20 and 10 to start the season, which was the first time in franchise history anyone has done that. But how exactly did that translate to winning? Translated to that win against the Raptors, okay, cool. And then it translated to a 2-point win against the Pacers, in which he barely played. So it's like, what is this team's identity? This team's identity can become Cooper Flag, but they have to allow it to be. And I just don't see that happening until you move on from AD.
They don't even. I feel like the issue is management doesn't look at it like Cooper's team. If you're going to rebuild around a guy, you need to first admit that this guy is your best chance of winning a championship. And this organization and this franchise still thinks that AD missing half the year potentially and Kyrie missing most of the year can take you to the championship this year. Okay? Like, or let alone next year. Like, frankly, my frustration is this is exactly where you were last season, right? And you can say that it's bad luck because of the injuries. Fine. Let's say that you say that, right? They still tried to compete, valiant effort, whatever, and they lucked into the first pick. It's not like they decided, hey, we can grab this guy, right? It was not a concerted effort. And I'm just going to be frank, even if they lose out and their luck is horrible this season, they're not going to tank, okay? Like, it's because they've gotten so many vets and so many guys who are wanting to compete and take it seriously. If they end up losing like 60 games, it's going to be because they just suck. And that's what's getting in the way of Cooper's development, I think. Just because this season, I don't think it's going to be great for him anyways. Like, you have to look at it from a month-to-month basis for Cooper Flag.
At some point, the injury excuse has to run out, because someone needs to realize that injuries are baked into this plan. You trade for an injury-prone player, he's going to get fucking hurt. At some point, you have to understand that you can't make the injury excuse for an injury-prone player. Like, this is who he is. This is who Anthony Davis is. This is kind of who Kyrie Irving is too, whether we want to admit it or not. And so it's like you put all your eggs into this basket of 2 injury-prone players. You have to live with the results, and those have to be part of the way you evaluate it too. You can't just be like, oh, another season in which AD was hurt, we'll get him next year. Like, no, there is no next year. The more AD gets hurt, the more his value plummets, and he's at a point in his career where these are, the end of his prime. Like, let's be real. He might have a year, he might have 2 years at most of his prime left. Like the time is now to trade him, and every injury that he suffers is going to tank his value that much more to a point where, you if you trade him, you're literally just trading him to move the money like the Mavericks did with Kristaps Porzingis in 2022, right? It becomes a deal like that. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to be
Oh,
able to
God.
get what you can
Davis
for him.
Bertans, you are a Maverick.
Oh God.
That's the situation we're going towards right now. And I'm just worried that it's going to become the next GM's problem. At a point, like that's the thing with Kristaps Porzingis. Like we can argue whether they settled for a low value or not, but the point was that Nico Harrison felt that he couldn't do anything with. I mean, like the Mavericks could not do anything with Kristaps Porzingis on the roster anymore, and they just needed to move on from him to truly move forward in their franchise. They're so low on him, but you saw how it opened up the team, and they went on that run. And the point is, that's the situation we're going to find ourselves in with Anthony Davis in a year or two if quicker, bigger decisions aren't made. Because I don't know, it's annoying because I feel like every concern, every fear that we've had about this team and the trajectory they're on is literally coming true in real time, and it just makes me mad because you had all these people telling us like, oh, you're overreacting or you're being too negative or you're not a real Mavs fan. Like go be Luka film room, Lakers film room. Look at the results on the court right now. Has anything we've said been wrong? That's all I ask.
As a great man once said, fortune favors the bold, and the way that this roster has been constructed is extremely dull. So the only solution is to fire the dullard that made this dull ass roster and do the bold thing by trading Anthony Davis. In order to, I mean, just tonight, even though it was not against entirely NBA rotation guys, it just looked like guys were more free without AD on the floor. And I'm not saying that AD hasn't played well in the spurts that he has, right? But he has very clear weaknesses that means that you cannot really build a great team around him. Okay? So, yeah, you got to trade him before his contract just becomes an albatross and you wind up having to trade him for a guy that's being paid way too much and cannot actually contribute to Cooper Flag winning in the NBA. And you have to do that sooner rather than later. Keeping Kyrie is a completely different thing. Okay, but AD right now is an albatross hanging around the neck of the Dallas Mavericks roster. And that's not something that the players would like hearing, I'm sure. But that's just the truth from a management perspective.
Austin Reeves hit a game winner. He could have been in the fucking Luka trade. I wonder if Nico knows who he is.
It
No,
probably
because
didn't fit his
Austin Reeves,
defense
his
first
nickname
vision.
is Hillbilly Kobe, and if Nico knew that, I'm sure he would have been like, "Yeah, get me that man."
I mean, man,
I can't believe they're...
I would trade AD for Austin Reeves straight up.
I would too.
Me too. The Lakers might win a championship this year with that trade, but Cooper Flag's early career would be a lot better with Austin Reeves than Anthony Davis.
And that's the thing that I keep going back to. It's like the Cooper Flag at point guard experiment is not necessarily a bad one, but there's two caveats to it. One is if you have to accept the results, you have to accept that you're probably going to lose games with him at point guard. But the other thing is you could still give him plenty of touches as a play initiator. But if you just play him with a real point guard next to him, or a better ball handler next to him, it takes that pressure off of him. Klay Thompson is not that player, and it has looked really bad in large part because Klay Thompson is the second guard, the two guard for the Mavericks. Like that just, if it was Brandon Williams, if it was D'Angelo Russell, I think it would look a lot better.
I'm not sure about that because he had 4 turnovers tonight, although he didn't shoot as badly as he has previously.
Who? D'Lo?
D'Lo, because he wasn't 2 of 7 from 3. He was just 1 of 5.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Williams was a perfect fit next to Cooper Flag tonight. And so, yeah, I mean, like even Max Christie, like
Yeah,
someone
Max
who
Christie's
can,
looked
yeah,
really good. PJ's
yeah,
looked really good. Like a lot of the younger guys that fit that kind of timeline. I'm counting PJ in that because he's like 26, right? So he's not
yeah.
too old. But all those guys have looked really good so far. Even Derek Lively in the 30 seconds that he plays per game because of foul trouble or injury, he's like looked fine too. Um, so I mean, there's positives with the team. I'm just like, there's this like these nuclear clouds that just hang over the team still that I'm just like we talked about, just worried about. And I wish people would just like give up on. I know you don't give up on an NBA season 5 games in, but I mean, realistically, like contenders not happening this year. So just
Yeah,
gotta
I mean, I wish
kind of.
they would just fully commit to the Cooper Flag thing and say like, just go be yourself, go learn how to lead a team, and we'll live with the results of that. The problem is they haven't, and he's second guessing himself a lot out there right now, and he could look a lot better. I think the worst thing that could happen. Okay, I don't know about the worst, but it would certainly make this season a disappointment is if the Mavericks have a terrible season team wise and Cooper Flag doesn't win Rookie of the Year because
Well, he might not. There's
yeah, I
some.
mean he might VJ Edgecombe like he's definitely behind the eight ball and that's okay. Like it's not going to losing out on Rookie of the Year doesn't mean he's going to go on to have a bad career, but you know you got to leave with something. And in that scenario, I don't think Mavs fans would be leaving with much.
To me, worst case scenario for this season, if we're talking results, is they go to the play-in, lose in the play-in, and they're middling around like a, I don't know, 40 and 42 record, and they have like a mid-lottery pick with their. I would rather them be like horrific. Like, so keep doing like Cooper Flag at point guard stuff, keep like playing double bigs, keep doing all that stuff. Play Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively together when they come back. Shoot.
Here's the thing, like I think people are taking tanking like very very negatively because it
It
sounds
still has
negative.
like a bad, it still has like a bad
That
like
doesn't make any sense
ethical
because
stigma.
the all of the guys running the league, like every team that is running the league right now, got there by getting these guys high in the draft that are generational players, right? Or it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander who got traded, right? But his team was still entirely built around drafting people, right? Like it's clear that young, talented players can be built around and can win, right? This is not the old NBA where you need like five veterans on your team in order to succeed. Like I genuinely would be more positive even in the next 5 years on the outlook of what the Mavs could do if they had one of those top three from the next draft alongside them, right? There's still glaring holes in the roster, but there is enough talent there to where you could in the next 5 years, so long as you don't trade any one of your generational stars for an aging out of his prime outmoded big, um, to where you could seriously compete against these teams as they age, right? But really the issue is spending this amount of money as an organization on Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, and Anthony Davis when Klay is not playing well enough to be a starter, and this isn't the version of the team that he signed up for playing on. And Anthony Davis can't stay on the floor. And even when he does stay on the floor, he negatively impacts the spacing for everyone else on the floor, except for maybe D'Angelo Russell because he has played with him for years and years before. Or not years, but like he's played with him for a long time before. Like it's I think it's just time. Anybody who's intelligent basically can read the tea leaves and say, okay, this first timeline is really hamstringing the Mavericks, and you cannot be in play in purgatory. I would rather be the worst team in the league than be in play in purgatory.
I agree. I agree. And if you reach the play-in off the back of Cooper Flag, like so be it. That shows you that he's got something. But this half in, half out thing that they're doing right now doesn't benefit anyone.
Okay, see, the thing is, like, I am cool with us losing a bunch of games because I think, I mean, not I think, obviously, this is the last Mavs draft pick that they own for a while outright. I don't think that they need to even try to tank very hard, especially with the health issues that have been plaguing this team. I think they're just naturally going to lose a lot of games while they figure out who the hell they are on both sides of the ball. And again, that's going to be a very tough task with Anthony Davis in and out. And like, if he's not in peak shape for a while, that's also a tough task to reintegrate him into the lineup and actually play winning basketball with him, which is, I mean, again, I feel like I'm being harsh on him, but just based off what we've seen this season, it's not it's not outside of the realm of possibility, that we're just naturally bad for most of it. But I'm not sure. I really thought that Cooper was gonna. My mind was in a dark place in the first half. I thought that Cooper was gonna have like a triple single type of game again because it looked very silent for him. But in the second half, the Mavs figured things out, mostly about playing a normal lineup. But Cooper got up to an efficient 15 points, had a double double, and he had lots of impactful plays. So I don't know where exactly he's going to lead us. It's probably going to be close to like the 18, 19 Mavericks, if anything, Luka's rookie season, um, where they won more than 30, but fewer than 40 games, right? I think that's,
33
yeah,
wins is what they had, I believe.
33. I think that's somewhat kind of a reasonable target if in a like not worst case, but in like a poor case scenario for the Mavs. And I think I can live with that. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't.
Go ahead, Vinay.
I was gonna say I don't think the team needs to like just keep doing what they're doing. Like when I say tanking, like I'm not saying like they should go out like the players should go out there and go lose the games on their own. Just like Fazal said, it's almost gonna happen naturally with the way the team's already trending with injuries this year, with guys being out, and then like the different lineups they're playing, and frankly just how the basketball fit is on the court. Because like I mean, we're gonna find out, I guess, in the next 5 to 10 games how they play against actual NBA teams because like they haven't beaten one yet, but the Raptors are barely won, and the Pacers were not one today. So like, I guess we'll see like how actually they can tread water and all that stuff. But um, the natural, I guess, part of tanking would be trading the veterans that don't fit the flag timeline. But I don't think they're ever gonna get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to kind of sum it all up, what we're waiting for right now is that Luka versus the Rockets moment where Cooper Flag takes over a game and shows you what he's capable of, with the ball in his hands, with all the attention dedicated to him. Like when that moment happens, a light bulb will go off, and the Mavericks will have to make that decision as to what direction they want to go in. The problem is, and here's the big difference between this season and that season, is that at the top, Patrick Dumont doesn't know the first thing about basketball. And so I just don't trust anyone to be able to come and say like we need to fucking change course. We need to clear house and just put everything behind Cooper Flag. I don't know who that's going to be. I mean, I guess Mark Cuban is still involved, but we don't know the extent of his involvement, how much his word means. Who's telling Patrick Dumont that now's the time to move the veterans and just build around Cooper Flag? Because we know Nico Harrison's not going to be the guy. His
Michael
entire
Finley's
brand, yeah, and Michael
Wow.
Finley maybe.
Mark Cuban and Patrick Dumont are involved. That inspires so much confidence in me. Fazal, just to quickly just to repeat something that you said, this team when this team figures out, what their identity is. I'm not sure that they ever will, because they have. It's a weird case where they have too many weapons and there's so much shot variance because there aren't like these bona fide 3-point shooters all around them that like it's going to be really difficult to figure out who is your leader, because there's going to be a lot of guys that have great performances, decent performances, and then underperform, even if you're playing them consistently night in and night out. And it's because of the way that the roster is constructed, right? Because of that, our minds are just falling like, oh, Coop is the one guarantee of a guy that has the potential of like being the big star on a Mavericks team, and being the franchise, so to speak. So I don't want to harp on management too much, but you already have to maximize Cooper Flag. Like, you should not be waiting for a 30-point night or a clutch victory. Like, you ran this experiment for a year, or not a year, but like you ran this experiment since February. Okay. Anthony Davis has barely been on the court. Kyrie Irving tore his ACL. And we are genuinely saying nicer things about Max Christie and Brandon Williams than we are really about D'Lo and Clay. So like the first timeline is cooked. This is not like it's only 5 games. This is an overreaction. No, I mean we know what is happening with a lot of these guys. We know why the fit doesn't necessarily work, and I'm not confident that they're gonna develop a real identity by the end of the year. Okay, like it's easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean, we've beaten a dead horse at this point. Like they're until this happens, we're just going to be going around in circles and trying to just take the positives from it. Like every time Cooper Flag dunks the ball or has a cool finish or blocks someone, like that's going to be what we take away from these games until the Mavericks finally decide to get serious and build a team around him like they should. Again, Cooper Flag was an accident. He wasn't part of the plan. And I'm very glad that we got him, but this was not supposed to happen. This team was supposed to be an Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving team. There is a world in which Anthony Davis got hurt tonight, and now neither Kyrie Irving nor Anthony Davis are healthy, and Cooper Flag is not on this team. Just imagine if it was the 11th pick and not the number one pick. So, yeah, winning the lottery was a good thing to sort of get the fans back, but I think all our fears and concerns about this team have been validated by the first 5 games of this season. Like that's my big takeaway from the first 5 games is that we were right. And I want this team to be good. Like, don't get me wrong. I take no pleasure in seeing them middle around and lose games or barely beat, a G League Pacers team, right? But the reality is, in order for them to get to where they need to go, some big things need to happen.
I mean, I have literally thought in the last 3 days that if Anthony Davis was averaging 30 and 10 and did not have like half of these recent injuries, that I would be so much more optimistic and I could understand what all of these optimists on Twitter or whatever are, where they're coming from. But like at this point, the
And
team has to sell on some of their aging veterans. Like Clay Thompson, we're genuinely asking the question, like, would it be too difficult on his ego if he was asked to be on the bench, right? Like, no, if you're not performing well enough for the team to compete, then you're on the bench, right? And if you're really just playing guys for ego, then it's time to move off of them because you can still get some amount of value out of them and they are not contributing to the growth of your organization over the next 5 years, right? A lot of these guys are not necessarily going to be in the league over that period of time. So, you know, yeah, but we're not going to beat a dead horse.
yeah, I think
That dead horse is the
I think
Mavericks franchise if they don't really take this seriously, by the way.
I mean, I think the horse is already dead right now. It's it's up to the powers that be to bring it back somehow. But guys, I think we've rambled on for a little bit over an hour. It's a pretty good stopping point. You guys have any closing thoughts before we end this stream?
Nope.
I don't either. I think we said it best. Like, obviously there's stuff in these games to talk about, but at the end it all comes back to these big picture topics that we keep harping on.
Yep. 79-3, and I'll see you in June.
You might be thinking, why are we so pessimistic after a win? It's that the future is indeed very bleak. So,
It cannot be bleak.
Yeah.
true.
We
True.
have a very we have a very bright reason for the future on our team, but you know, unfortunately, it's a solar eclipse right now.
We have a few, you know. They own their 2026 first round pick. So, you know. They need to keep playing jumbo. I need to see Dwight Powell shooting threes. Okay?
I need to see Dwight Powell at the one. Dude, that size is so intimidating for opponents. Like the Mavericks are gonna be a problem. I need everyone to shut up now. Like that shit is over. It was never gonna work, and it has proven to not work.
What if it comes back and works?
Then I'll move to Vegas. How about that?
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not worth it. Trust, that's not worth it. No, if they come back and they do win it all, I'll be real. I will be eating
No, not
crumble.
win it all, but let's can they get to 45 wins this year? Is that on the
If they get
table?
to 45 wins this year, I will cry because they're not
That
gonna
would be
get
a
through the
great
playoffs.
season.
Yeah, it would be a great season for what the ceiling on these guys is, but it would be a horrible season for the Mavericks in 2029. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, if you win
every-
45,
Every future roster that the Mavericks put out over the next 5 to 10 years is dependent on how few games that they win this year. And then in 2031.
Have to hope those lottery balls go your way. I mean,
It's
from
not,
what
dude,
I've
it's not
seen-
going to happen again. It's not. How many times has
No,
Chicago
I don't even want.
won
I'm not
the
asking
lottery?
for. I'm not asking for the first pick. Just give me top 3.
Even that is like an insane ask.
The Spurs got Wemby, and they added Dylan fucking Harper to it for just.
Yeah, but they also lost a lot of games. What was their max win total? 30 over the last few
No,
seasons?
they jumped up in the lottery. I mean, this year.
No,
Let's see.
before they got Castle, they were like a sub 30 win team, weren't they?
Oh yeah, for sure,
Wemby's
for
rookie
sure.
year. That's my thing is like that.
I don't
That's
think
where
we're
you'll-
that. We're not that level bad, probably.
and that's why I'm saying that they're mortgaging it because like if you end up with like the 8th pick in this draft or like even the 7th pick, you're grabbing like a Nate Amend or a Chris. I might be pronouncing these names wrong, but like a Chris Senac Jr. Like I have not seen a significant amount about these guys, and that is the concern, right? Because they are not the generational players out of this.
There's going to be
class.
a crazy tank off at the end of the year with, the same culprits that are seemingly tanking every fucking year, like the Kings, the Wizards, the Blazers, and
The
all
Jazz.
those
Jazz.
teams. The Jazz. Yep. So
Well,
we'll see how it
who knows?
goes. I don't know if they'll ever purposely get bottom out like that.
I think the Celtics might do a better job
good.
of tanking
Because
this
they're
year than
smart. They
we do.
purposely didn't get any big guys on purpose.
We are run by a bunch of Muppets, truly. We went from Russ
Watching
Hanneman
Austin
to a bunch of Muppets.
watching Austin Reeves go off is honestly like obnoxiously annoying too. Like, yeah.
all right, guys. It's a good stopping point. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you guys, Vinay, Rohan, Fazil, for your contributions today. We'll be back again, maybe after the City game on Saturday, maybe sometime after that. Let's see. Follow us on Twitter at Mavs Film Room. If you haven't, subscribe to us on YouTube. This is where you get all the Mavs Film Room content now. So YouTube, we're going all in there. But if you're old school and you listen to audio podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, go Mavs, and we'll see y'all soon. Peace.
Recording stopped.